The Golden State Warriors step into the 2025-26 season standing at a crossroads between their legendary past and an uncertain future. This is no longer the same dynasty that terrorized the NBA with unstoppable shooting and unbreakable chemistry, but the core of Stephen Curry and Draymond Green is still here, now joined by Jimmy Butler, one of the fiercest competitors in the game. The question everyone is asking is simple: do the Warriors have one last magical run left in them? Or is this the beginning of the final chapter? Stephen Curry remains the soul of this franchise. At 37 years old, his quickness may no longer be what it was, but his shooting touch continues to defy age. The mere presence of Curry on the floor still bends defenses in ways no other player in basketball history can replicate. His leadership and calmness in clutch moments give Golden State hope in every game, but the pressure on his shoulders is as heavy as it has ever been. He is the one who will carry them when all else breaks down. Enter Jimmy Butler, the marquee addition of this offseason. Butler doesn't just bring numbers, he brings a mentality. Known as Playoff Jimmy, he has carried underdog teams to the finals before, and now his grit joins forces with Curry's brilliance. He adds toughness, perimeter defense, and another late-game option. Yet questions about his health remain. At 36, can he truly deliver over an entire 82-game season? The Warriors are gambling that he can save his best for the playoffs, where his intensity often becomes unmatched. Alongside the veterans, the Warriors are relying heavily on their youth. Brandon Podziemski looks ready to take a leap forward. His playmaking, confidence, and scoring versatility give Golden State a much-needed secondary ball handler. Moses Moody, still searching for consistency, is another crucial piece. His ability to defend wings and knock down open threes could cement him as a key rotation player. And then there's Jonathan Kuminga, the X-factor of this team. Kuminga's athleticism, rim attacks, and defensive potential hint at stardom, but the Warriors need him to turn flashes into full-time production. If he does, the ceiling of this team rises dramatically. Draymond Green remains the emotional leader and defensive anchor. His playmaking perfectly complements Curry, but his availability is always in question. When Green is on the court, the Warriors' defense transforms into a cohesive unit. When he's absent, the entire system collapses. His importance cannot be overstated, but neither can the risk of depending on him. The rest of the supporting cast brings both value and concerns. Gary Payton too can be a game-changer defensively, but his injury history is worrying. Kevin Looney provides rebounding and screening, but his athleticism has declined. The bench lacks reliable scoring and rim protection, leaving Golden State vulnerable against deeper, younger contenders. Their off-season decisions have been heavily criticized. While rivals like the Nuggets, Celtics, and Bucks retooled and added depth, Golden State stood relatively still. No major free agent signing, no dominant big man brought in. That lack of aggression could haunt them when facing teams with elite size and speed. Which brings us to trades. Rumors swirl about potential moves. The dream scenario would be Giannis Antetokounmpo, though that would require a blockbuster package of Kuminga, Moody, and multiple picks. A more realistic option is Al Horford, a veteran center who could stretch the floor and stabilize the defense. Other possibilities include athletic wings and rim protectors, but the front office must decide soon whether to push all in or start preparing for a rebuild. Across the league, pundits are divided. Optimists argue that Curry and Butler's experience, paired with the growth of Podziemski and Kuminga, could surprise everyone. They believe the Warriors' mix of championship DNA and youthful energy makes them a dangerous playoff opponent. Skeptics, however, see an aging roster with thin depth and no interior presence. To them, the Warriors are destined to be a middle seed, good enough to compete but not to conquer. The consensus lands somewhere in between. This team still has fight, but the margin for error is razor thin. As the 2025-26 season begins, the Golden State Warriors face the ultimate test. If Curry stays healthy, if Butler channels his playoff fire, if Kuminga breaks out, and if the front office pulls off the right trade, another championship run is not out of reach. But if age catches up, if injuries pile on, or if the roster cracks under the weight of stronger contenders, then this season may mark the beginning of the end for one of basketball's greatest dynasties. One way or another, the story of the Golden State Warriors this season will be unforgettable. The Golden State Warriors are in a pivotal offseason, one defined by uncertainty, strategic maneuvers, and a delicate balance of talent. Fans have been closely following the saga surrounding Jonathan Kuminga, whose decision to senior not sign his $7.9 million qualifying offer could dramatically shape the Warriors roster. While Kuminga's indecision might appear as a headache, it presents an opportunity for Golden State to leverage the Kyle Anderson $8.8 million trade exception. With this financial tool, the Warriors could add a player earning under $6 million, creating potential depth without sacrificing existing pieces. Targeting depth, Haywood Highsmith as a trade option. One intriguing possibility is Haywood Highsmith, Jimmy Butler's former teammate, recently moved to the Brooklyn Nets via a salary dump from the Miami Heat. With Highsmith entering the season on a $5.6 million expiring contract, he becomes a natural candidate for the Warriors to pick up using the trade exception. Highsmith is a prototypical 3-and-D forward, averaging 6.5 points, 3.4 rebounds, and nearly a steal per game last season, while shooting 38.2% from beyond the arc. Golden State doesn't necessarily need another forward, given the trio of Butler, Kuminga, and Draymond Green, but none of them are pure 3-and-D players. Highsmith could carve out a role, especially as the Warriors aim to maintain defensive versatility while keeping floor spacing intact. However, logistical limitations, such as only having 2 available second-round picks, with one tied to the Minnesota Timberwolves via swap rights in 2031, could complicate the move. Observing rival missteps, Lakers' off-season blunders. While Golden State navigates its off-season chessboard, the Los Angeles Lakers have provided an unexpected source of entertainment. Fans have been watching the Lakers attempt to solve their roster issues, only to exacerbate them. Letting Dorian Finney-Smith walk and replacing him with Jake LaRavia, combined with marquee additions like DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart, has not gone smoothly. Ayton's track record of inconsistent effort and defensive lapses in Phoenix and Portland raises questions, while Smart, at 31, has shown signs of athletic decline and can no longer serve as the elite point-of-attack defender he once was in Boston. Lakers' vulnerabilities in rim protection, perimeter defense, and floor spacing are glaring, and Warriors supporters can't help but chuckle as their rivals navigate this precarious roster situation. Preventing free agency disasters, the Horford advantage. Amid this landscape, Golden State has successfully added veteran presence with Al Horford, a 5x All-Star whose free agency arrival could have been disrupted by the Lakers' earlier maneuvers. Marcus Smart's signing with Los Angeles inadvertently cleared the path for Horford to join the Warriors without competing bids. Pairing Horford with Anthony Melton, who is expected to sign a veteran minimum once Kuminga's future is resolved, strengthens Golden State's depth and positions the team as a serious contender. With Horford anchoring the frontcourt, Curry leading the backcourt, and Green providing defensive and playmaking stability, the Warriors' Big Three remains formidable. Yet depth and defensive versatility remain essential for a deep playoff run, and strategic moves, like potentially acquiring Highsmith, could be the key to unlocking championship aspirations. Moving forward, navigating Kuminga's future and playoff contention. The Kuminga situation continues to be a pivotal storyline. If he signs his qualifying offer, the Warriors may need to pivot quickly to maximize their trade exception or explore other roster enhancements. A strategic trade could address depth concerns while maintaining the integrity of Golden State's core. Fans can expect a flurry of moves once the Kuminga situation clarifies. Until then, the Warriors are watching, planning, and preparing, ensuring they avoid the off-season pitfalls that have ensnared rivals like the Lakers. By carefully managing contracts, trade exceptions, and player fit, Golden State is positioning itself not just to compete, but to dominate in the 2025-26 season. For Kevin Garnett, they gave up young assets and picks, but the move immediately delivered a championship. No regrets. In 2019, the Lakers traded for Anthony Davis. They gutted their young core, but it brought LeBron his fourth ring and cemented AD as a franchise piece. Worth it. But on the flip side, look at the Brooklyn Nets' 2013 trade for Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. They gave up years of future picks, hoping to win now, and it ended in disaster. Even the Cleveland Cavaliers' moves around LeBron show the danger of short-term thinking. When he left in 2010, they had nothing left. The Warriors are standing at the same cliff. Do they risk it all for one more title run, or do they protect the future at the cost of the present? Fan reactions, the split opinion. If you scroll through Twitter or Reddit right now, Warriors fans are split in half. Some say, do it. Don't waste Curry's last years. We'll worry about the future later. Others argue, no way. Kuminga is our future. Don't mortgage the next decade just to chase a dream. And here's the truth, both sides are right. That's what makes this trade rumor so compelling. There is no clear win. It's about what Golden State values more, legacy or longevity. So far, we've looked at the trade from both sides, the risks, and the historical parallels. But the real heart of the matter goes deeper. What does this trade mean for Stephen Curry himself? How does it affect his legacy, his final years, and the story of the Warriors dynasty? We'll focus on Curry, his timeline, his impact, and why Golden State may be willing to risk everything to give him one last shot at greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dubs Nation Voice. We remind you to subscribe and join channel membership and be one of our member family today. Today's story is about the Kawhi Leonard scandal with the Los Angeles Clippers, and what this entire mess could mean for the Golden State Warriors, Stephen Curry, and the entire balance of power in the Western Conference. Now, why does this matter? Well, the Clippers have been a team living on the edge for years, aging stars, constant injuries, and sky-high expectations. And suddenly this bombshell report drops. Allegations that Kawhi Leonard, a two-time champion, may have been paid nearly $28 million for what some are calling a no-show job. The NBA is reportedly investigating, the Clippers' credibility is under fire, and rival teams are smelling opportunity. Among those rivals are the Golden State Warriors, yes, the dynasty that brought you 4 championships, led by the legendary Stephen Curry. And while their window may be closing, this scandal might just be the break they need. Over the next 2 hours, we'll unpack the scandal, the fallout, and whether this could open the door for Golden State to add a key piece like Derrick Jones Jr. to support Curry's final push for one more ring. Let's start with some context. Kawhi Leonard is one of the most unique players in modern NBA history. Nicknamed the Claw, he built his reputation as a defensive monster in San Antonio, then as a cold-blooded assassin who led the Toronto Raptors to their first NBA title in 2019. But since arriving in Los Angeles to form that so-called super team with Paul George, Kawhi's Clippers era has been complicated, to say the least. Injuries derailed multiple playoff runs. The team never made the NBA Finals despite heavy investment, blockbuster trades, and championship expectations. Still, Kawhi remained one of the most respected and feared two-way players in the game. That's why this scandal is so shocking. According to NBA personality Pablo Torre, the Clippers allegedly funneled Kawhi a staggering $28 million through what he described as a fake, no-show job. If this is true, it's a direct violation of the NBA's salary cap rules, and it could bring down severe punishments, not just on Kawhi, but on the Clippers organization as a whole. This is not the first time we've seen teams get creative with salary cap gymnastics. Remember the Minnesota Timberwolves' Joe Smith contract fiasco back in the late 1990s? The league came down hard. The Clippers, if found guilty, could lose draft picks, be fined heavily, and face even more restrictions. And for a team that is already aging and top-heavy with salary, that's devastating. So here's where the Warriors enter the conversation. Golden State has been searching for answers since their dynasty began to crack after the 2022 championship. Draymond Green is older. Klay Thompson has battled through injuries. Stephen Curry is still brilliant, but at 37 years old, the clock is ticking on how many MVP-level seasons he has left in him. The front office, led by Mike Dunleavy Jr., has been cautious, but the pressure is mounting. If there was ever a moment to strike, to take advantage of another team's crisis, this might be it. And the player in the middle of all these whispers? Derrick Jones Jr., a 6'5" forward who just wrapped up a strong season with the Clippers. He's athletic, he's versatile, and he has championship experience after helping Dallas reach the 2024 NBA Finals. His defensive energy and improved outside shot make him an ideal piece for Golden State's rotation. But the big question is, at what cost? Would the Warriors give up a young talent like Moses Moody to bring in Jones? Is that enough to shift the balance of power in the West? Over the next segments, we'll break down the possible scenarios. But before we move to the trade talk, let's take a deeper look at how this Clippers scandal might unravel, and why it could be the beginning of a dramatic reset in Los Angeles. Now let's zoom in on the Los Angeles Clippers themselves, because before we can understand what this scandal means for Golden State, we have to understand what it means for LA. And honestly, the timing couldn't be worse for them. Think about it. The Clippers are entering the 2025-26 season with sky-high payroll, an aging roster, and not a lot of flexibility. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, these guys are household names, but they're not getting any younger. Injuries have been the story of their careers over the last 5 years. And now, instead of focusing on how to keep the core healthy, the entire organization is distracted by a scandal that could shake their foundation. Let's be real, Clippers fans have been through a lot. From the Donald Sterling controversy years ago, to the heartbreak of injuries, to watching Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan leave without a championship, and now this Kawhi story, it feels like the franchise is cursed with off-court chaos. This new scandal only fuels that narrative. Kawhi Leonard is 34. Paul George is 35. Russell Westbrook is 37. These are not players you build a future around anymore. These are veterans you try to squeeze the last ounce of production from. That's why the Clippers were desperate to stay relevant, to prove they could compete. But with this scandal hanging over them, you have to wonder if management is ready to hit the reset button. Because if the NBA decides to punish them, say, by stripping draft picks or limiting financial flexibility, then what's the point of keeping the band together? You can't rebuild with no picks and no trust from the league office. So naturally, the trade rumors are going to swirl. And when players like Derrick Jones Jr. become expendable, that's when rivals like the Warriors will pounce. And then there's the matter of reputation. The Clippers had worked hard over the last decade to rebuild their image from the Sterling days. Steve Ballmer came in, brought energy, money, and a vision. He built a new arena. He marketed the Clippers as a legitimate power in Los Angeles, no longer the Lakers' little brother. But a scandal like this? It's poison. It undermines all that hard work. Other teams will look at the Clippers and think they're desperate. They're cornered. They'll make a move out of fear. And that perception in the NBA is deadly, because once you're seen as desperate, rival GMs will circle like sharks. So what are the scenarios? Scenario 1, the Clippers double down. They say, look, Kawhi is still an elite talent when healthy, Paul George still has gas in the tank, and Russell Westbrook brings leadership. We'll weather the storm, we'll take the fines, and we'll keep pushing for a playoff spot. That's the prideful route, but it's risky. Because if injuries hit again, which history tells us they probably will, then you're left with nothing. Scenario 2, the Clippers reset. They look around and say, okay, this isn't working. Let's move veterans while they still have value. Let's get picks, let's get young players, and let's prepare for the future. This is where Derrick Jones Jr. comes into the conversation, because while he's younger than Kawhi or George, he's still a veteran piece who could be shipped off for the right price. For the Warriors, that could be a dream opportunity. And finally, let's talk about Kawhi himself. He's a fascinating figure. Quiet, private, almost robotic in his approach to basketball. The guy doesn't even have social media. But the irony is, that same private nature makes scandals like this even bigger. Because Kawhi never lets the world in, every bit of drama around him feels 10 times larger. And if the allegations are true, if he really took money for a no-show job, then it will leave a permanent stain on his legacy. We'll no longer just talk about Kawhi, the two-time Finals MVP. We'll talk about Kawhi, the player at the center of one of the NBA's ugliest salary scandals. For the Clippers, that's a nightmare. For their rivals, it's a potential blessing. So here's where we stand. The Clippers are vulnerable, their reputation is damaged, and their roster is fragile. And across the state, in San Francisco, the Golden State Warriors are watching all of this unfold with keen interest. Because for them, this might be the window of opportunity they've been waiting for. The dynasty isn't over yet, but the clock is ticking, and if they're serious about giving Steph Curry one last shot at glory, they may have to act fast. Up next, we'll dive into the Warriors' side of the story. The pressure on their front office, the state of their roster, and why this Clippers scandal could be the push that forces Golden State to finally make a move. Jonathan Kuminga's story with the Golden State Warriors has now reached a boiling point. From a promising draft pick to a key young piece on a dynasty roster, Kuminga has always been caught between two realities: the future star he believes he can be, and the limited role he has been asked to play. Now, as negotiations drag on, the question isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about power, opportunity, and identity. Will Kuminga finally take control of his destiny, or will the Warriors' front office force him into a corner? This is not just a contract saga, it's a battle for respect, relevance, and the future of a franchise that has defined the NBA for the last decade. Born in Goma, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Jonathan Kuminga's journey to the NBA is nothing short of extraordinary. From a young age, his size and athleticism drew attention. But unlike many of his peers, Kuminga had to leave home and travel across continents in pursuit of his basketball dream. He arrived in the United States as a teenager, raw but filled with potential, enrolling at the Patrick School in New Jersey, a program known for producing NBA talent. Scouts were immediately intrigued. His physical gifts, strength, leaping ability, quickness, were undeniable. Yet there were questions. Could he develop the skills? Could he adapt to the structure of high-level American basketball? Instead of going to college, Kuminga made a bold move, joining the NBA G League Ignite program. This decision, at the time, was risky. He bet on himself, believing that training against professionals would prepare him faster than NCAA competition. And for the most part, it worked. Scouts saw flashes of brilliance, step-back jumpers, highlight dunks, defensive versatility. By the time of the 2021 NBA Draft, he was seen as one of the highest upside prospects available. The Warriors, with the 7th overall pick, saw the opportunity. They were a team stuck in transition. Steph Curry was still at the height of his powers, but Klay Thompson was recovering from back-to-back major injuries, and the roster desperately needed youth. Drafting Kuminga was not just about the present. It was about building a bridge into the future. Early years in Golden State. Kuminga's rookie season was full of ups and downs. On some nights, he barely played. On others, he exploded off the bench, showing flashes that reminded fans of a young Kawhi Leonard or Jaylen Brown. His ability to guard multiple positions, run the floor, and finish above the rim made him a fan favorite almost immediately. By his second year, however, frustration started to grow. While Kuminga improved statistically, averaging more points and playing with greater confidence, his role under Steve Kerr remained inconsistent. Kerr, known for relying on veterans, often turned to players like Andrew Wiggins, Kevin Looney, and Draymond Green in crucial moments, leaving Kuminga on the sidelines. This was especially clear in the playoffs, where his minutes often disappeared despite regular season growth. To many observers, Kuminga represented the classic dilemma for the Warriors. Should they commit fully to their veteran core, or should they invest in their young stars like Kuminga, James Wiseman, and Moses Moody? The contract saga unfolds. Fast forward to the summer of 2025. Kuminga is now a restricted free agent, and the standoff has begun. The Warriors have put a 2-year, $45 million offer on the table. On paper, it looks generous. But the fine print matters. The second year comes with a team option. To Kuminga and his agent, Aaron Turner, this is unacceptable. They want a player option, which gives Kuminga control. Control is everything here. If the team holds the option, Kuminga risks being stuck in the same frustrating role for another year, unable to explore opportunities elsewhere. If he has the player option, he can reassess his future, look for better fits, and potentially command a bigger contract. The qualifying offer complicates everything. Worth $7.9 million for one season, it allows Kuminga to hit unrestricted free agency the following summer. But it's a dangerous gamble. If he gets injured, or if his role continues to shrink, his market value could plummet. Still, the Warriors fear this option more than Kuminga does. If he signs it, they lose trade flexibility and risk watching him leave for nothing in 2026. This tug-of-war over options and leverage is not just financial. It reflects the deeper mistrust between the two sides. Kuminga feels undervalued. The Warriors fear overcommitting to a player they haven't fully trusted. The Jimmy Butler factor. This offseason, the Warriors made another bold move, trading for Jimmy Butler. On paper, Butler gives them another battle-tested veteran to chase one more championship with Curry and Draymond. But for Kuminga, Butler's arrival might be the final straw. Where does he fit now? If Butler plays big minutes at forward, Kuminga's path to a starting role becomes even narrower. Fans and analysts see the writing on the wall. Some argue that the Warriors don't really see Kuminga as part of their long-term future, and that he's more valuable as a trade asset. Others believe Golden State risks repeating the mistakes of the past, choosing short-term security over developing the next generation. Trade rumors and interest around the league. Reports indicate that teams like the Sacramento Kings and Phoenix Suns have already shown serious interest in Kuminga. Both franchises envision him as their power forward of the future, offering him not just money but a clear role. Unlike Golden State, they would hand him the keys to grow without fear of being benched behind veterans. The problem? Any deal requires the Warriors' approval. A sign-and-trade could work, but Golden State has been reluctant. After all, they know how talented Kuminga is, and losing him for the wrong package could haunt them. Yet the clock is ticking, and every day without resolution increases the tension. Lessons from the past. The specter of Nerlens Noel looms over this saga. In 2017, Noel turned down a $70 million offer from Dallas, betting on himself with a $4.1 million qualifying offer. That gamble backfired spectacularly after injuries and inconsistent play, and Noel never regained the same earning power. Kuminga's camp knows the risks, but they argue his situation is different. He's younger, healthier, and more productive than Noel was at that stage. He's also in a league that increasingly values athletic forwards who can guard multiple positions. The financial gap he risks is smaller, and he's confident he can earn far more long-term. The bigger picture. This saga isn't just about one player. It's a snapshot of the modern NBA. More than ever, young players are asserting control over their futures. Team options, once standard, are now points of contention. The power dynamic has shifted. For the Warriors, this is also about identity. They built a dynasty on loyalty and continuity, but can they afford to alienate their best young talent? If they cling too tightly to the past, they risk compromising the future. If they bet too heavily on improving youth, they risk wasting the twilight years of Curry's career. So where does this leave Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors? With training camp just weeks away, the standoff feels unsustainable. Either the Warriors cave and give him a player option, or Kuminga takes the qualifying offer and sets up a season of constant drama. The nightmare for Golden State would be losing him for nothing while watching him blossom elsewhere. For Kuminga, the decision is about belief. Does he trust himself enough to gamble on the qualifying offer? Or does he compromise now for stability? What's certain is this. The resolution of Kuminga's contract saga will not only define his career but could reshape the entire Warriors dynasty. The stakes are enormous, and the next move could change everything. The 2025-2026 NBA season is here, and few teams draw as much attention as the Golden State Warriors.